Alright guys, so today I'm going to be showing you our latest build, being a castle for a faction spawn. This map actually is for sale, and it's 151 by 151, and it took roughly 10 hours to make. This is by far the biggest build I've made for the channel, and I'm really excited to showcase this one. With that being said, let's get right into the build itself. Alright, so we started off the build by laying out a bunch of terrain, as well as coloring it. We also had somebody build trees in the back, that way we could paste them into the build later. We did about 3, but the commands we used for the terrain was go brush as well as go paint. Also, I'm sorry for the big build in the front there that's obscuring your view. We actually scaled our layout and then we just pasted it into the map. That way it made it way easier for us to start building and make sure we stayed with our plan. Alright, so now that we pasted in the build, we literally just went right into building. We brought down the walls and left the color as it is for right now. That way we could completely see the difference between the terrain and the build itself. This helped us a lot in the future because then we could just detail the walls way easier with either world edit or our hands. And as you can see, we did it just there. I started by building the front gate, and my friend started by building the side wall with the windows. I think the flat wall on the side and the lack of detail on the front actually looks kind of good, because I know a lot of castles people like to over detail it, and that definitely wasn't the style we were going for. So the next thing we were going to do was just add the towers. The towers are probably the most important part of the build itself, especially when it comes to castles, because you could simply build one and copy them around, and I think that really helps make the build look a little more clustered as well as a little more detailed. And as you can see, we started doing that, and then we started building the roof. The reason why this build actually turned out really well was just because of the roof, if you ask me. If you look at the walls, they're really plain and kind of bland, and the roof really ties it all together. So I'm happy that we did the roof the way that we did. With that being said, we then brought over the detail from the front just to the back, and then we started another door. We actually have 3 entrances on this castle. That way there's a lot of ways to get in and out, as this is a faction spawn map, so we kind of wanted to make it easy and accessible. We then started building the sidewall, and this is where the second entrance is going to be. The big tower on the top, I decided to not copy and paste over, and rather build just another big one. As you can see, I started it now, and I wanted to add in a little bit more detail, so I added in a side view and a huge staircase going down. There's also a statue in the background, but just kind of ignore that because we just removed it at the end, as we're not organic builders. Looking at the castle from this point of view definitely looks cool. I would say this is the front of the building, and the other sides are the back, although there is 3 entrances like I said. I then brought a little bridge from the big tower to the other tower. That way it really just connected the build more and made it feel a lot more animated. And then I started the side gate. This gate was also a really cool detail to the build because it transitioned from orange straight into white. And I think that turned out really cool. The reason I'm building with dirt is just so I could transfer the dirt block to the smooth sandstone block. And I did the same thing on the back of the build, although like I said, it could be the front, whatever you guys really want it to be. I think every angle on this build really turned out pretty cool, considering the fact that, you know, the terrain and the shape of itself was kind of not planned that well, and I think it turned out pretty cool if you ask me. So at this point, we're about 9 hours into the build itself. The reason why there's so many transitions is because they were multiple clips and I added them all together. And you need to keep in mind, we didn't even start the interior. And since I didn't really find it entertaining, I actually didn't record it. But the interior also turned out really cool, and I think a lot of people will be happy for it. But after that back window was done, which was the hardest part of the build, I went and colored the roof. But I think that's it for this video, guys. If you guys like it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you enjoy the cinematic.